Welcome to Sonoma Raceway in Sonoma, California. I'm Jay, and I'm back with another special edition of CarBuzz Unboxing Reviews. And today, clearly, this is a drag racer. More specifically, it is a classic Corvette drag racer. It might look like a 1963 Corvette, but it's really not. I'll explain all that and so much more throughout the review. But first, I want to thank Dean Hall. He is the racing team manager of Heck Racing and Corbel Champagne Cellars for letting us come on down and check out this insanely cool car for you today. So, as you can see from this interior, it is unlike pretty much any other car you or I have ever sat in before. It has a switch panel for the ignition, the fuel pump, the water pump, the fan, the lights, and the computer. And you'll see that in action in a few minutes, but it's also really easy to start, which you'll also see happen, because all you have to do is turn on the power and push the starter button, pump the throttle a few times, and there you go. The steering wheel, it has a few buttons. The left is for line lock, the right is the trans brake, and the bottom switch activates a rev limiter for doing burnouts. But let's talk about this exterior here. Now, it is an all carbon fiber body. It's an aftermarket shell that it resembles a 63 Corvette, but it's stretched out to a 106-inch wheelbase from a stock 99-inch. So why did they go with the older body style here? It's so that it will be eligible to run in the NHRA's Nostalgia Series on the West Coast. So what is the NHRA? That is the National Hot Rod Association. It was established in 1951, and it is the largest motorsports sanctioning body in the world. So let's get back to this exterior. Now, the chassis, it's built on a crenellated tubing with a 4-link rear suspension and a strut front end. It was built actually by Rick Jones' chassis shop in Illinois, and Dean was telling us that it took a total of 7 months for them to build it. He basically sent them the engine and transmission, and 7 months later, they returned to him this car, all painted, plumbed, and wired, turnkey, ready to go. And it also has these double bedlock wheels, in which they're safer because they clamp the tire bead to the wheel instead of the old school screw through the lip. Now, they also provide better tire sidewall control. And the tires themselves are Mickey Thompson 17-inch drag slicks. And tires matter, especially in drag racing, where even a tenth of a thousandth of a second can sometimes matter between winning or losing. And of course, in the rear, you have those rear trolley wheels, the parachute, but also notice other classic 63 Corvette styling, such as the 2 circular taillights on each side. You also have that classic split rear window. And I really do like this nostalgic look on a modern day drag racer. There's just something to it. Also take note that the rear panel there, it's kind of bolted into place. It's actually screwed in. And it's supposed to having like a latch so that it can just open. It's screwed into place so for that there's almost no chance that it'll come flying off while this thing is racing. Yeah, just look at the size of those wheels. 17-inch drag slicks, like I said. Now, what's kind of interesting is that we're told this car, it drives like a regular car when it's not racing, but it uses 115 octane fuel. So, regular car, meaning you can't drive this thing out in regular traffic. You really don't want to do that. But the fact is that a skilled driver can drive this around the track to various pit lanes without really any problems. And check this out. This is the front hood, and just like the rear panel there, to remove it, you have to undo every single one of those screw things. It takes several minutes, but again, it's so that the front hood doesn't go flying back and smacking into the windshield. And look at that! Just to get to the engine, you gotta remove the entire front end. And speaking of engines, let's talk about this thing here. This is a 615 cubic inch big block Chevy V8. It has a lot of lightweight components. Again, cutting weight is key here. It's got aluminum blocks, aluminum connecting rods. It runs a 16:1 compression with high velocity, 12-degree heads, and 2 modified Holley carburetors. So how much power does this thing have? All told, 1,280 horsepower at 7,500 RPM and 950 pound-feet of torque at 6,800 RPM. But why do a lot of drag racing teams love these big block Chevy V8s? It's essentially because they're bulletproof. Like this car here, they think it can go between 150 to 200 rounds of drag strip racing until the engine will require a rebuild. Obviously, the engine is serviced along the way, but it can just take quite a beating because racing just beats the hell out of cars. And take a look here, how you actually have to open the door. It's through that hole on the driver's side window. The latch is in the inner door panel. And the interior here, a lot of carbon fiber. Again, cutting weight is key. It's kind of bare bones, but there's even a command center computer that has multiple uses and a lot of timers, and it won't do everything for the driver, but it helps give successful launches without delays. And check out the roll cage here. This is built to NHRA specs for safety. For an example, it must be padded everywhere and anywhere the driver's helmet may make contact with it while the driver is in the driving position. So basically, it's got to protect the driver from any angle, 360 degrees. Then you see the GM 2-speed Power Glide transmission lever there. And again, they use this particular Power Glide transmission because it is the simplest, lightest design out there, and it's very strong, and it's able to handle all of that horsepower. And now, its torque converter allows the engine to reach 6,800 RPM on initial launch. And then this thing finishes the finish line at 8,100 RPM. Notice there that it even says Corvette Stingray on the dash right in front of where, well, if there was a passenger seat, that's where it would be. But at that alone, the Corvette Stingray bit is the only real trace that this car is kind of a nostalgia classic. Alright, so let's bolt this steering wheel into place and start up this engine because I know you're just dying to hear it. Right, so I am sure that a lot of the neighbors will complain if this car is driving around the neighborhood anytime during the day. It's really loud. Performance, 0 to 60 miles per hour in only 1 second. It does the quarter mile at 7 seconds flat at 195 miles per hour. And something else you should know about the chassis is that it has to follow NHRA safety guidelines. So every 3 years it has to go through an inspection to be certified for competition. And another thing about just drag racers in general is that to be successful, they got to try to keep the front end as low as possible so that the front tires only maybe go a few inches off the ground. Doing wheelies looks cool, but it's not going to win races. And those rear wheelie bars, they're also used to compensate for a car that's pulling left or right or left off the starting line. Now, even though you can't see it, this car, just like a lot of other newer cars today, it also has an onboard data recorder, and it reads from a multitude of sensors within the car, including the engine, transmission, the shocks. it just gives the team as much feedback as possible to see what went right and what went wrong during a race. So how much does this thing cost? Well, the rolling chassis itself costs around $90,000. And then you can also add on a lot of other tech and many other features. So you're looking at over, 6 figures. And a weekend racing at the track could easily hit close to around 10 grand. Remember, you got to take into account fuel, crew, safety measures, testing, and weather equipment. So this is actually a really expensive hobby, but it's just a ton of fun. Alright everyone, I'm out of time for today. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any suggestions for future Car Buzz unboxing reviews or special editions, leave them for me in the comments section. Any more questions about this car? Also leave them in the comments section. And be sure to subscribe to the Car Buzz unboxing review channel. And until the next video, thanks so much for watching. See you next time.